We are now ready to dive into our first technical engagement of the day. We are joined by a powerhouse of industry leaders, policymakers, and entrepreneurs here to uncover actionable insights. Our first panel discussion titled Bridging the Gap Between Energy Efficiency and Industrial Scaling for MSMEs for Global Competitiveness focuses on the State Industry Association perspective. To explore this roadmap, we are honored to have the presence of esteemed industry leaders representing Goa's premier associations. I would now like to welcome our distinguished panelists to the stage. We have with us Dr. Praveen Khullar, President of Goa Pharmaceuticals Manufacturing Association, Shri Nitin Desai, Vice President of Goa State Industry Association, Shri Kalpak Arware, President of Verna Industrial Association, Shri Gaurav Pokle, Chairman of the Environment Committee, Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Shri Vibhor Keny, Vice President of Laghu Udyog Bharati, Goa Pradesh. This session will be moderated by Shri Pranay Prabhugaonkar, Chairman of the IP and Innovation Committee of the ASSOCHAM Goa Council and co-partner at Menezes Gaonkar LLP. The floor is yours for what I'm sure will be a highly insightful session.
I would welcome everyone out here. It's a houseful room, basically, to this Manufacturing Conclave 2026 organized by the ASSOCHAM. This is one of the flagship events, and we all are honored to be part of it at the ASSOCHAM Goa. So, as Dr. Sagar Sargaonkar has already addressed and set a tone for this event, India stands at the critical intersection of the industrial growth and environmental responsibility, with commitments under the Paris Agreement and ambitious renewable energy targets. It is noteworthy to note that the MSME contribute 29 to 30% of the India's GDP. So, and 45% of the manufacturing output come from the MSMEs. They also account for on a 25% of the industrial energy consumption, and 70% of the MSMEs rely on the conventional energy. These are according to the reports of different power sectors in the Indian economy and so on and so forth. There are roughly 20,000 plus MSMEs in Goa, and the major power consuming industries in Goa are pharma, food processing, iron and steel, and shipbuilding. And Goa relies on central generation stations of power with a total allocation of around 492 megawatts. And due to this, the state is focusing on enhancing the transmission infrastructure and exploring renewable sources to support the industrial load. Now here comes the key problems. The energy cost is, as Dr. Sagar Sargaonkar said, the major share of the operating cost. And also even on the other side, the rate at which the energy is being sold in units, the Niti Aayog has presented to the Chief Minister of Goa in 2022, asking to reduce the price that is being offered to the industries because it is on the higher side. Secondly, industries are not easy to change. There are a lot of dependencies. You do not want to disrupt your output. Downtime should be reduced, and any change that you bring in is also dangerous, or it also may cause losses. At the same time, it is worth to note that the outdated equipment such as the boilers, motors, and furnaces consume a lot of energy, and that also adds up to the operational cost. So talking about green energy and energy efficiencies is good, but it comes with the initial cost. And hence there is a dilemma among the MSMEs is if they opt for the energy transition, what are the risks, what are the benefits, and also when should we start? Because unless there is a pressure to comply with the environmental regulations and to make the factory having a lower carbon footprint, there is always a wait and watch. ASSOCHAM has organized this event, and this panel discussion is for clearing the dilemma, push for the closing the policy gaps, help see sustainable growth opportunities for energy saving. And we have the power pack panel of seasoned leaders from the industry, industrial associations, the policymakers, and the entrepreneurs in front of us who will throw light on the challenges in the energy transition, policy recommendation, success stories in the Goan industrial ecosystem. But before we dive into the topic, I think it is important that you know who these panelists are. And I would request one after the another, the panelists to introduce themselves, and then we can get into the details.
Good morning. Thanks, Pranay, for starting this panel discussions. I'll briefly introduce myself. I'm Praveen Khullar. I'm a pharmacist by qualification. I did my PhD in pharmacy and then done management in HR, finance, and lead auditorship from UK. This is my 40th year in industry, so just spent in technical field, worked in an Indian multinational, French multinationals, and currently heading a CDMO in Goa. I'm president of GPMA, also a chairman of a College of Pharmacy, also on board of a price monitoring, skill development, IP committee, and board of some universities in Goa, Bombay, and Raebareli, or Naipur, etc. So happy to be here. I'm sure that this diverse participation today will brainstorm, come out with some kind of a challenges, innovation, and find some new solutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pranay. My name is Nitin Desai. I've got 2 manufacturing units, which is into manufacture and export of concrete products. I'm also the vice president of GSIA.
Thank you, Pranay. My name is Kalpak Arware. I am the president for Verna Industries Association. Have been in this hot seat for last 1 year. And I also represent a company called Syntegon Technology Private Limited. So we are into manufacturing of packaging machines. And I am the head for taxation and EXIM. I did my post-graduation in finance and have been associated with Syntegon for last 7 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranay. Myself, Gaurav Pokle, and I am the chairman for the Environment Committee of GCCI. Along with that, I have a company which is Goa's first startup into waste management. We have been installing waste-to-energy plants in Goa, and we are the only company in Goa which designs, does the engineering, and builds it. It is not outsourced from anywhere. As we are moving towards a transition, we've also started a new company called as Reclovo Infotech, which is mapping and digital mapping for waste streams, and how waste could be a resource and not just a headache. So we've been working into this field for last more than 15 years now. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, good morning everyone, and thank you, Pranay. So I'm CA Vibhor Keny. I'm a chartered accountant by qualification, but I'm full-time into manufacturing now. I do not practice. We have a manufacturing unit in Kunkalim and Betoda. We are into manufacturing of power-saving fans, and I'm also the state treasurer for Laghu Udyog Bharati. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for the introduction. I would jump into the conversation and the discussion here with Dr. Khullar. As a president of GPMA and a seasoned veteran of pharmaceutical sector, what are your thoughts on rising energy costs due to 24/7 operations of pharma MSMEs and some steps the pharma companies have taken to reduce the energy cost in Goa?
Okay, thanks, Pranay, for this question. I think, the pharma industry is a very energy intense kind of industry. There is operations which are required. Being a regulated industry, pharmaceutical requires a temperature, humidity control round the clock in case you are manufacturing. So the heat, ventilation, and air conditioning is important. You have to run it. Not only run it, you have to monitor it and then see that every hour the data is available. It's not that you switch on and switch off as you want. So it has to be there. And in case the electricity electricity breakdown or disruption there, you have to run it on generators. And that also is the cost, generator cost might be somehow 50, 60 rupees a unit kind of things instead of what you get 7, 8, 10 rupees depending on that part. So it has to be done like that. And you know that Indian pharma industry, while we have got a lot of growth, we have export and there is an international regulation we have to comply with. So Goa Pharma Manufacturing Association contributes almost 11% of the export of the India and growing at fastest one. We are around 15% year-of-year growth there. That means every year you have additional machines, building, equipment, resources, manpower. And Goa do not have any electricity, generating kind of a capacity or anything there internally. We have to get the energy from the neighboring states. The most important part from pharmaceutical industry is that we have no exemptions or have a kind of an option available that you have to run the machine. You have to run the machine when there is a temperature, humidity, and other pressure, air pressure controls, etc. is running. It has to be validated. It has to be done in round the clock there. So this is, any disruption required, it required to be backed up. And then if we're talking about electricity backup with generators and, all those things there, its cost is 10 times higher than what you normally get that. So I think the pharma industry in Goa has now diversing in terms of, alternate energy sources, finding out a better genset, finding out better motors, finding out some kind of alternate energy like solar systems. In my earlier company when I was working with Sanofi, I think almost 20 years back, I had an R&D center here in Goa. We started with this solar panel as far as 20 years back. I said, let the outside area, the car park area, the cafeterias should be done on a kind of a solar system. It was a pilot studies, and then slowly we went into a motion sensing kind of this one. You find that many a time the lights in areas, corridor, washrooms and all is on 24 hours, while even I find that on weekends, Sundays also the lights will be on. No one bothers, it looks like that, switching light is, is a normal norm which is there. Motion sensor, this is a very small investment. How it can save you almost 80-90% unutilized need of the electricity is required. Electricity generation, electricity saving, and also reusing the electricity, The heat energy from the genset and also from another steam and all can be recycled and can also be used. I think wind power is also very important. Goa can explore this, which is not done. But in my earlier organization in Gujarat, we had a very big wind power kind of energy generation sector there, and government support in this kind of incentivizing this kind of capex is very important. I'm sure we are directing it. A lot of vibrant discussion happening. A lot of companies have gone into a solar system and many more to go. Overall, you know that now with the war going on, the LPG crisis, the petrol and diesel supplies and all those things. If you see that our every hour of life is dependent on energy, whether it's a light, whether it's a gas, whether it's a petrol, anything which is required, even if it disrupted for a week, you know that what will going to happen. So I think we should use it carefully, save it, use our alternate means, and try to recycle the energy as far as possible. That is a responsibility. It's not that we have money to purchase. It is not that money to destroy the environment, and also just see that we sensibly use it, not only use it, also avoid misuse by others. Small example of water wastage, you see that in the morning if you go for a walk, everyone is saying that they are washing the cars. And even if the car is not been driven for 10 days, the person has gone out of this. The person who comes for washing will come every day and put 100 of liter of water and then wash that part. Electricity, someone switch on the night time, and unless morning 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, they go in the main gate, they will not switch off the main light of their outside. It's just a timer, a small timer can save the energy that, okay, at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, the light will switch off. Change, automatic generation, and I think we are in an AI situation. We have to just switch our mind to see that we don't waste, and at least if we can't produce, use it sensibly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Khullar. Couple of takeaways, especially the pharma companies are slowly diversifying. And when you spoke about inefficiencies in energy, so it's not really the energy cost, but it's the energy inefficiency. So we can save a lot of energy by being efficient. Yeah. So thank you very much for your insights. Then I would like to request Mr. Desai about GSIA is known as a key voice for ground level industry challenges, and we have seen it. What are the challenges that the small scale manufacturers face in adopting energy efficient solution? Dr. Khullar has already talked about the inefficiencies, so what are the small scale industries adopting? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not optional anymore. I think there's, as Khullarji said, that energy is one of the biggest price and costs which comes into the manufacturing setup. So we need to focus on the renewables, and honestly, there is no viability gap anymore when it comes to solar power. The gap is with respect to the funding. Now, this is the pain point which all the industries have. We know that, okay, renewable energy is efficient. Yes, it's zero cost. There's only a initial cost, but the payback period, I think, has come down to 5 years now, less than 5 years. So the issue here is everybody is aware, all the industries in Goa are aware of it. Issue is about the funding. Now, here, any solar plant, say for 100 kilowatt, costs in lakhs. I think it's around 40 lakhs for a 100 kilowatt plant. So the initial 25%, the 10 lakh which MSME needs to put in is an issue. The funding also is not a problem because you have loans as low as 7%, which I think SIDBI and so many other banks give you. We are talking with EDC to help address this issue in the sense that EDC already is giving loans at the rate of 5%, 0.5% also for the MSMEs in Goa based on the location and the constitution. But then solar plant is not included in the finance aspect, the funding aspect. So we are talking with the MD of EDC. We had a lot of interactions with the CFO of EDC to come up with a scheme to finance up to 90% for the MSMEs, so that more and more MSMEs come into the this solar power generation. So I think we are going to see announcement by EDC with respect to finance for MSMEs when it comes to solar plants. We are going to see that, and I'm very proud to say that it's an intervention of GSIA. I think another thing I would like to point out is that we are working with individual industrial associations. If I give you an example of Pilen Industrial Estate, a number of industries have come together. The local association has brought these industries and the vendors together on the same page, and they have negotiated the best pricing when it comes to solar panels. So we have a very good example that around 1 megawatt of solar plant for different industries is there today in Pilen. It's up and running. So you can imagine the savings which all these MSMEs industries have got because of saving in solar power. And I think a lot has been said about the energy audit, which the onus is always put on the MSMEs that we need to do energy audit of our equipment and how we can save energy there. But what about the quality of power which we get? There's so much of equipment failure. We find every now and then, I see in my WhatsApp group, everybody is complaining about the equipment, fail because there's a surge in power, there's phase reversal. So many issues related to the quality of power which comes from the electricity department. What is the government doing with respect to that? So putting the onus on the MSMEs that you do the energy audit and you do the power saving is okay. I agree with that also. But I think a responsibility is there with the government to ensure that we get quality power. Even today, I'm sure 90% of the industries here have got DG power backup. Whereas in countries like Vietnam, they don't know why there has to be a DG, why there has to be an AVR to manage the power, why there has to be a stabilizer. We don't think about it. It's become like second nature that, okay, we buy an equipment, we need an AVR. We need to put a stabilizer. But in other countries, there is no need of having a stabilizer. There's no need of having an AVR. There's no need of having a DG. So I believe that if the quality of power improves, that itself will give rise to a lot of efficiencies in manufacturing.
Thank you. Very insightful. Hello? Yeah. So it's very insightful, and I think it is not about transitioning. It is also about accountability, that you save money first from device replacement, and we will invest into solar. So that is where I see it, and that's a valid point. I think one of the recommendations can be measuring the quality of the power coming in, and see that, okay, you charge me as per the quality of power you provide, So that's a good point, valid point, and I think definitely can be recommended. I go next to Mr. Arware, who is the president of the Verna Industrial Estate. The Verna Industrial Estate is one of the highlights of the Goa industrial ecosystem. And they have been doing very fantastic, whatever reason, and the initiatives you are taking. But it is also at the forefront of driving energy efficiency within the Goa's industrial ecosystem. Can you tell us about the energy efficient practices and initiatives that successfully implemented at the Verna Industrial Estate?
The only viable solution today for industry to shift to is the solar, which I feel is viable. And that is what we are concentrating at Verna Industrial Estate. In Verna Industrial Estate, we have a few very large companies who have now shifted to solar. Some of the companies even utilize around 80% of their requirement through the solar installations now. And when it comes to large companies, they themselves have mandate to reduce the carbon footprints. And they have their own audit requirements and fulfillments to be done. It is the MSMEs who require the hand-holding. And there is where VIA comes into picture. And we have been conducting a lot of seminars along with the Renewable Energy Ministry, the solar installation agencies, where we can have some competitive pricing for installation of solar panels to the units. As far as the wind energy is concerned, we are told that Goa does not have that kind of environment wherein we can have wind energy. So we are looking only at the solution which solar can cater to. And when it comes to Verna, there are units which are horizontally very large, and that makes it viable, or that makes it easier for them to install the roof top solar panels, and that is what the units are getting into. Now, when I look at it, the MSMEs, what happens is their infrastructure is not as huge as some of the large industries. There are a lot of clusters around, and that doesn't allow them to install the solars. So one of the things that we are talking to the government is, if I have a unit in my neighborhood who has the capacity to have solar installation, what happens today is that whatever excess energy is generated goes back to the grid. Why not as well share it with the MSME, which is in my neighborhood? Why it should go back to the grid? And what I do is I get only a set off. We say that the government pays us, but no, it is just a set off. So what I have been suggesting is that open up the market. I have a huge unit who has installed a solar panel on top, has a rooftop panel, generates electricity, has access units with him. Instead of sending it back to the grid, share it with my MSME who is in the neighborhood, who requires energy there. So this kind of innovative thinking is required going forward. It is the government can no longer be a a business initiator. The electricity cannot be cannot be a business generating equipment for a government. So they are service providers. Similarly, we can coexist as an industrial estate. We can coexist if you have excess energy there. Share it with your MSMEs, and MSMEs will happily be ready to take the energy there, which can be very cost effective. So that is what we are at VIA have been advocating. As usual, the government has been a little hesitant to get into that kind of mode. But nevertheless, we will take it. We'll be taking it forward. This is from the energy perspective. When it comes to clean and green or the waste management, until today we have been each unit has been taking care on their own. They have been appointing their own waste collector, and which has been catering to their requirement. Now with working with the GIDC, we have Mr. Gaurav, who will be now on board, and he will be catering to and taking care of the waste management. Maybe in a couple of months' time, he will start his operations there, and that is where we look at more on waste management. To be very frank, last 4 or 5 years, VIA has invested very heavily on the waste management collection because there was no proper mechanism. So we had appointed a private waste collector, and Bhavish was doing this for the last 4 years, and we through our members had been doing this on our own. Thanks to the MD of GIDC now, he has taken the initiative, tendered, and Gaurav is there on board. We have something called as a clean and green mission that we have embarked on at VIA. When I say Verna Industrial Estate, it's a huge industrial estate, and there are a lot of green patches there. And each member has been coming forward, and he has been taking initiative along with the VIA to maintain those green patches within the industrial estate. And to tell you, there is one of the tributaries which goes and connects River Sal, and that is what we are trying to maintain, retain, rejuvenate. What happened was when Verna Industrial Estate came into existence, there was no proper water supply, and each unit started digging a borewell, and that depleted the ground water levels. That is what now we are also concentrating on. Now with the reservoir coming there in Verna Industrial Estate, now the water problem, to some extent we have sorted out the water problem. So now we are looking at rejuvenating the groundwater level. So we are working with sustainability agencies, Cipla Foundation. We have Coca-Cola Sustainability Agency, who is also now working with us in rejuvenating the groundwater levels. So then we have Siemens on board who are into rainwater harvesting. And the phase 4, which is coming up in Verna Industrial Estate, where the new construction is on, we are already in talks with them so that at the construction stage itself, they take initiatives to have this rainwater harvesting as well as the groundwater regeneration. So these are some of the measures that VIA has been taking up with its members along with the government and other agencies to look forward to have a sustainable and a green industrial estate. If you see today, there is a highway which passes through the Verna Industrial Estate. And what we have done along with the PWD NHAI is that we have planted fruit-bearing trees along the highway. If you move through the industrial estate, you will see parallelly on each side, there are fruit-bearing trees that we have planted. These are some of the initiatives which VI has taken along with the various agencies, and we would continue doing this, working with the government and taking this forward. Thank you.
So I think what I kind of take away from whatever you said is you do not see energy transition as an individual topic. Secondly, you see it as only saving energies is not sufficient. There are other issues like waste management and conservation of the water, and you are already working towards it. There are some case studies and success stories. It's all about the clusters. We should not single out MSME and say deal with the problem. And that's one of the examples has said. There are also Tirupur cluster, which is mainly textile industry. And they have completely gone 100% wind and solar. Basically, there is energy savings, and they are already saving 40% of the energy cost. There's also Rajkot cluster, which talks about, which also has done the solar. So the clusters, I'm talking about the clusters. So it is not that, okay, I have given you the space, you can mount it on your rooftop, may sometimes not work. It is that associations have to come forward and bring all the members together, work with the government, and solve that issue. Because if the solar energy or wind energy is being produced, definitely it is cheaper, but initial investment can be from the government or the association side. So with that, I would like to also move to the next speaker, Mr. Pokle, who is also the Environment Committee Chair of GCCI and also founder of YIMBI. And congratulations that your 15-year journey led to the contribution in waste management at the industrial IDC. So you bring a unique perspective to this discussion, right? Although Mr. Arware has already touched upon the waste management and the industrial efficiency. Can you tell us why MSME should consider focusing on waste to energy as critical driver for cost optimization and sustainable scaling of MSMEs?
First of all, we have to understand that energy is not always power. Okay, I would say if we need a good energy in this room, and if it was full of dirt, unhygienic, the energy would have dropped. Okay, so first of all, we need to understand we normally keep our surroundings clean, but what gives us business is the entire country, the entire village, the industrial estate. We make it dirty. That brings down the energy. No one wants to work in a place where there is no cleanliness, there are no basic hygiene. So energy is not always power. And I always say this to my team also, profits don't come from sales. Profits come from your floor efficiency. Okay, so when we look at floor efficiency, that is not only saving power, as Kalpak even mentioned about saving water, saving even human resource, okay, everything concludes to your saving. And now when you have asked me about waste to energy, when that word hits, it feels like it's so much cost involvement. It is a capex driven term. But to be honest, as we always used to presume that solar also is, a cost, and today everyone is saying we should do solar, we should do solar, we should be doing solar. Same happens with any other waste transition. It could be biogas, it could be biogas to CNG. I don't know if some of you all must have read an article that we have a plant at Saligav and we have been wasting a lot of energy over there. We are not able to, and today it could have replaced multiple number of cylinders in the crisis form. That is because we again don't have a foresight. We thought, chalega, we already have a supply. And today when there are crises, we are thinking of, should we adopt it? So the primary thing is, we never do mapping of most of our assets, because for me, waste also is an asset. This is a resource. For you, most of the time, we must have seen people throwing a bottle, plastic bottle on the road. But there will be a waste picker who goes and picks, because for him it's not a waste. For them it is a resource. Okay, so we fail to understand most of the time what is actually a resource, and we neglect upon all this. I think if all MSMEs, all industries, all waste generators map what they do, for them it might be a small quantity, but when they sit together and alone VIA tries to figure out what it is, they will find certain particular quantum of waste. The other day we had a meeting and we realized there is so much of even garden waste and other kind of horticulture waste within the VIA that if such all industrial garden waste could be set to a briquetting plant. There could be pellets and which could again save energy. So when we speak about clusters, we have to speak about mapping the cluster, mapping the smallest MSME, because an MSME will find that it is too much of a cost, I should not be doing. But when you come as a team, when you come as a whole, and when you think with one positive mindset, that business is not what I do inside my premises, but what we do as a whole. And that will bring the Vikasit Goa of 37 with that vision in line. Then electricity department also thinking, okay, where I need to pause, where I need to give you the right energy. All this has to become one. Then only you'll see a proper waste to energy thing. And I think for Goa, every industry doesn't have to go in for, because it depends upon your feed. I'll give you a classic example. In Mayam, there is a Gaushala. Okay, they have more than 5,000 cows over there. And they have multiple kitchens, and they have an event hall for the locals. They used to consume more than 13 cylinders in a month. So that used to be a cost. They approached us. Then we approached government of Goa, where they had a Gobardhan scheme. With the use of Gobardhan scheme, they installed a 5 TPD biogas plant. Today, during the crisis, whatever, it's been highlighted everywhere. The entire kitchen, okay, up to 300 meters line is, they don't use gas now for almost 6 months. And the entire kitchen, and they are like not even worried about whatever, because their feed is cow dung, which is coming every day. They want to increase, and we are now thinking whether we can convert it into CBG plant at a Gaushala. So if a Gaushala can take such an initiative, which is not an MSME, which is not an industry, but is doing energy conservation, is working towards, and again the sludge that comes out goes into the fields in the Mayam area for agriculture purpose. So what we used to think what is waste is actually not waste when you apply your mindset to it. So it's a mindset change basically. Thank you.
Fantastic. What I see is that we have a visionary on our panel. Huh? And he says profits come from the floor efficiency. Now, to me, the floor is the VIA. It's not the factory floor, so do not mistake it. And they are working together. And it's an awesome thing. They are setting a model and working together. So we also have other industrial estates, and maybe also that will help, because everybody has the fear of starting from where. Everybody has their own challenges, right? And when you talk about the waste to energy and all those stuff, so I was listening to the Honorable Minister, and you will also hear him in the speech, waste to wealth. So he will also talk about it. So waste is a waste. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So waste is a waste. It should not be. Waste is a wealth, basically, right? So thank you very much for your insights. I would now move to Mr. Keny, who is a Vice President at LUB, Goa Pradesh. Laghu Udyog Bharati, Goa recently released a comprehensive study during recent MSME Adivation. Can you highlight the top 3 pain points currently micro industries are facing in energy transition in Goa? And also you can speak about how you yourself as a founder of Aiery, which manufactures energy saving smart fans, how do you address this energy cost, and what kind of things that you implement in your own workplace?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So, well, the report was submitted in January, and what we are facing in March, I would rather change the answer and put it what we are facing now. And we are having a very interesting talk outside where I was there, Kalpak was there, Dhareshwar was there, Nitin was there, and we were discussing how even the smallest of the things are impacting MSME. So we have somebody from packaging industry where the cost have gone up. But the biggest pain point for MSME right today is cost, because our forward sale prices are fixed. It may be for months, it may be for quarter, it may be for a year. But the problem is our input cost have gone up. This has caused the biggest pain point to MSME as of now. People may feel कि अरे वो gas नहीं आ रही है, diesel नहीं आ रहा है, वो तो packaging को क्या करना है? It is not that everything is interlinked. So today probably from Goa perspective, we may think that none of us are using the boilers or gas so much into the industry, but where the source raw material is coming, they are using all this energy over there. Their cost increases, our input cost increases. Now we being a MSME are forced to buy at a higher prices, since we cannot deny that, and there are at times only 1 or 2 sources to buy them. The problem is when we sell it to the MNC whom we are selling it to, they say, "Aapka contract freeze hai, you cannot be increasing the prices." So the cost pressure is very high. Including to the smallest, we are also having a discussion that the commercial gas cylinder is even affecting the labor. This is something that only MSME has understood. Our labor who use gas cylinders, they are not getting a household gas cylinder, they are not going to be getting a pipe gas lines. They are getting commercial cylinder. Now because the government has put a cap, which they are right in doing, not that they are not, they are doing it to safeguard us only so that the cylinders are used in the right way. But they are not getting cylinders, they are running away. We are not going to be left with labor. The entire industry in Morbi is closed down because there is no gas availability over there. Okay, I was speaking to some of my friends who are in tiles. They are like, हम लोग वो सारा सामान liquidate कर रहे हैं जो कभी किसी को नहीं चाहिए था. So the kind of impact when we sit over here, we may be thinking it is only about diesel, gas, petrol. No, it is an entire ecosystem that has caused an issue. So the cost pressure is tremendous. The other 2 points which I would have highlighted for MSME was, one is cluster base, which has already been done. So like say VI is a very strong organization and the clusters are getting formed. And rightly Kalpak ji pointed out that we need to share the energy. We need to change the policy that if I have a bigger rooftop but I consume less, the other guy has a smaller rooftop, he consumes more. It should encourage me to sell my power to him. We have to use the space because end of the day Goa is landlocked, we have a small space and we need to utilize whatever is there. So cluster formation if adopted at other places as well. So in the smaller industrial estates, I think it would be really helpful. And the third point would go at as cost. Now everything, either somebody who has the money is not able to implement it, he need to be guided properly, the policies need to be laid down, it need to be clarified. We were also discussing, all these are just points of today morning itself, that there is energy audit. Most of us are not even aware that there is an energy audit subsidy that has been given. Many of us would be happy to do it. So like our GIDC president, how he has roadmapped an entire website which states everything. Probably certain things should be done by DITC or somewhere where all the policies are laid down at one place where somebody can go and look at it. And there are no ambiguities, even solar policy or any other policy for that matter, so that somebody who has the finance can go and get it, and the second person who doesn't have the finance but who knows about it should be able to adopt it by better means and ways of financing, which already is getting addressed by loan through EDC and everything. So this is actually an advantage of coming in last as well. You are able to summarize all the points and take in the key information from everyone. And coming to the second question that you asked about the power saving fans. Now this, the very basic idea of manufacturing power saving fans started in around 7 years back in 2019 or something. 2018, I had gone to one of my friend's unit in Hyderabad. He used to manufacture those power saving fans. Most of us know that Atomberg is the pioneer of it, but there were many other people who had started doing it. I just saw it on energy meter that it is consuming 60 to 70% less power. So till he told me, I said, "Bhai, sab bolte hain apna product acha hai," and they want to sell it. But when I actually saw it on energy meter, I ran down and I came up again. He's like, "What happened?" I said, "I traveled by car and I was just checking how many fans can I carry in my car? How much space do I have?" I only had space for 8 fans. So I carried 8 fans. He's like, "Sir, आप 8 फैन तो घर में नहीं लगाओगे?" मैं बोला, "नहीं, 4 में मेरे घर में लगाऊंगा, 4 उन दोस्तों को दूंगा जो घर में आके देखेंगे कि रिमोट से फैन चलता है और पावर बचता है." So that is when the idea of making power saving fans kicked in to me. And I replaced them. So today also when people ask that, "No, you are only talking about power saving fans because you manufacture it, you will be using it." No, I had started using them long back, and that is when the idea kicked in. Now I recovered the cost in less than 2 years because at that time the commodity, less than 1 year, sorry. At that time the commodity prices were very low. Just to give you an example, anything which is related to power saving can give you a payback in 1 or 2 years as well. So people don't know about it. We only know about probably solar because it is widely been spoken about. But when we are also talking about improvement in power, okay, we are lucky to have a very low rate of power. We need to respect that and we need to conserve it as well. So a payback period in Goa for a particular device may be 1 or 2 years, but we need to change it over. So same thing even in industry, we need to change over to the VFDs or something else. Same thing for the air circulation, which consumes a lot of power. We need to fit in the right places. So that is where we look into it. Now luckily, from in the last 4 years, the star rating has become mandatory on most of the devices. Now very few people still know that a 5-star rated geyser is going to save you more power. We don't generally, the problem with customers in India is we don't buy a product, we buy a brand. We never go and say कि हमें 5-star rated geyser दो या हमें 5-star rated fan दो. We go and say हमें Havells का fan चाहिए, हमें Crompton का fan चाहिए. We never go to check the energy. Government has made it mandatory for you. Now it is up to us to go and buy it. They are not going to come and handhold and कि नहीं आप ये ले हो. We need to just figure it out. So the energy paybacks of some of the energy saving devices are much, much faster. Just that we need to know about it, read it and get along with it. So this is what about it. And just one more initiative in fact about the cost saving. What Kunkali Industries Association had done was, there is a lot of talk going on about pollution of groundwater. So what we had initiated over there was, we asked all the fish industry to reprocess the water, not to the level of reconsumption or reusage, but to the level that steel industry can use it. So today about 50 to 80 tankers are getting saved for the water coming in, because that water is reprocessed and sent to the steel industry. So again, it is a power of cluster, because these two industries are very strong over there. So cluster formation can somewhere probably help out on the overall basis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, a lot of messages, but one thing that I would take away is that there is no lack of intent. They lack access, awareness, and maybe affordable capital. And even sharing energies in the neighborhood becomes a prime thing rather than getting it from somewhere. Also, it is not about the source of energy generation. Every time a device fails, think about a 5-star at a little bit incremental cost, but it will save you energy in the long term. So thank you very much. If I have to do a very quick round, because you are all the stakeholders of the ecosystem, what one recommendation or one or two recommendations you will give to the government, if that will help the associations or the MSMEs to save energy or get energy at a cheaper price, quality of the power, and so on and so forth? Please.
I think the most important part is energy audit. Find out where is the waste. The second is supporting the alternate, natural energy resources which are required to be done. How we can incentivize it and can support it, can fund it. I think that is another important area. And I think the most critical part is awareness. Mindset is very important. You might not know that how much energy is being wasted in front of you daily, and then you are not even aware of that part. If we can generate an awareness about that, at least don't waste something which is not required. Second, as said by the panelist here, is that the waste, even a cow dung can be a biogas, and then you can use it and remove LPG. Similarly, the waste coming up from the industry also can be reused. Maybe in cement industry, maybe on a road and other things there. Let us not throw it something which is a hidden source of energy and can also be taken care of. Today is the time of, I think innovation. In pharma industry, pricing is a challenge. Every year there is a tender, the cost, while the cost of the operation increase 7-8%, the prices goes down almost every year in the world over, and that means you have to cut the cost. Cutting cost cannot happen unless you have an energy cost. Manpower cost will go with the inflation. Energy cost is the one part which is the major contribution. I think just knowing what is not right is the important part. Just knowing we don't waste, and waste is reused. As I said, energy waste from genset, from steam, you can recirculate it. Water, hot water, you can recirculate it and can utilize this. A small kind of awareness program, government incentives, and also a drive where we find that at least we can plug in 10-20% wastages, that is also energy saved, is energy generated. So that is very important. Let us do it. And I'm sure all together brainstorm and small ideas which can make us, how we can do it. I can give quickly one part is variable frequency drive. VFDs are there, IE3, IE4. You can save much efficiency kind of thing there. You can have 93-94% efficiency on the motors. And motors are used left, right, and center in every industry. If you can save 5-10% of this part, within 2 years' time, you get the return on investment, and that life of the motor can be 10 years or 20 years' time. So it's not money. I think it is one sensitizing that yes, we can do it cheap, we can do with the quality, we can save energy. Let us see that we nurture the mother nature and not pollute it. At the same time, mother nature has given us energy, so let us use it sensibly. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think the chief guest is on the way, and maybe quick recommendation to the government. If, as asked by the MD of IDC, we need to give him a proposal, right? So, as a consortium.
Yeah, so with the geopolitical situation now, it is the opportune time for both the government and as well as the MSMEs to shift to the alternative energy. And I think biogas is one which Gaurav spoke about. And today is the time we should give a thought on energy generation as well as conservation. So we have to, think about that. Again, co-sharing is something we have to take in a big way going forward, because going forward we are certainly going to have shortage of the petroleum products. So we have to be energy efficient. Solar is something we can look at. I spoke about co-sharing. That is one more idea that comes to my foray, and the biogas energy, of course. So government should come forward to subsidize. When we talked about energy audit, we talk about there is subsidy being given by the government, but here we have to understand the MSME has to pay the fees upfront and then go to the government and seek the subsidy, which should not be the case, because the MSMEs do not have that kind of bandwidth to go and follow up with the government. So government should initially come forward and support the MSMEs in shifting that, making awareness is one more thing, and that is one of the important things that I take forward from here.
I would agree with Kalpak. I would just want to add something here. GSI also, we have been, through our interventions, what we are trying to do is be a bridge between the government and the industry. And at the same time, the best practices which come up, for example, VI is doing some fantastic job with regards to waste management. Now, this is something which we would like to take from them and then just throw it out to the other associations everywhere, that look, this is what has worked. The solar, the people, the consortium have come together, they have installed solar in Pilen. This is what works. This model can be replicated. So this kind of, being a bridge between the industry and the government is something which we need to do. And the best practices needs to be shared.
So I think it's also, that's a good recommendation. Even the IDC can look into it, right? Basically, they're saying that, okay, how uniformly we have practices for energy saving across the different clusters,
One last thing that I wanted to add, that we had also proposed this as a central government policy initiative, because state cannot change it, that subsidize, reduce the GST, not subsidize, reduce the GST on energy saving devices. So it may be for common use, lights, fans, or anything which is a 5-star rated product, these are anything. Make it at 5% instead of 18%, because they are not really luxury now, they are necessity to make it at 5%, because we get input credit, the end customer does not get input credit, this discourages him. So this is one main point that we are trying to focus on, that try to get it on the lower GST bracket for all the energy saving devices to the end consumer.
So that's an important point, because whenever the devices fail due to the power quality, then people will be motivated to go into 5-star ones.
What I feel basically is recommendations are there, policies are there, but we fail mostly in execution. We don't know where to start and who will start. Because when we say government, I think one of the part of government is we also. How many leaders of the industry actually look at where their waste actually goes, how good their STP or ETP is functioning. They would leave it to the last person in the office, that is your job. And, my job is sales and production and, growing the company. So what I said in the first session also, that it's not the technology or recommendations that help, it's the mindset that help. So in total, we may give hundreds of recommendations. We would give this recommendation to, again, MD because he asked it. But who will execute it? After this session that is over, some other forum will come. They will again have a debate. But the problem again lies. I'll give a small example of Solid Waste Management Act. First, when it came in 2000, Till 2014, till Swachh Bharat was announced, no door-to-door collection used to happen. We are forcing everyone for segregation, which we know that is the minimum responsibility of everyone. Again, we want awareness. How much more awareness? Don't you know what is dry, what is wet? You know, now the new rules have come of 2022, but have we implemented what was told in 2000? That is the question we have to ask. So it's not only recommendation, it's the mindset shift which is required here.
Thank you very much.
Just one small
Yes.
comment if you want.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
I think one suggestion can be, as we rate the energy source for air conditioning and fan, we should start rating the industry as well, like the same way.
Yeah.
How many, alternate energy sources you are using, how waste management you are taking care of, what is your ETP plan, how efficient in green building initiative you are taken care of. If you put that with that stars, you can give the electricity rate to that industry. If you are 5-star, you get 20% reduction in your electricity bill. You get a license fee, can be 20% reduced in your license fee in case you are going to grow for expansion which is required. I think it is a channel of a motivation, and then how do we take care of that part? Everyone will say that, okay, I am 3-star, I want to become 5-star. If I do these two initiatives, I can go to up there and maybe I can save 20 lakh worth of electricity bill in a year. So, this is a cycle, this is a session. If you can incorporate, I believe that rating industries practices can also be a drive to see that you can also proudly say I am 7 rated industry, which will also add value as well as is a motivation for the entire team, and also a lot of service to the energy conservation and implementation alternate source. Not by pressure, it is by pride. Thank you.
Good points, and I think the beauty of this is not you are giving the insights. I think we as industry associations agreeing that we will kind of push for these things, that's the better part of it. As we conclude, a few takeaways from this is, and India's green transition is already underway, and I would like to give an example of Punjab as the state, and where rice husk was used as biomass energy generation, used for biomass energy generation, and they are using energies for all these lights and everything, from a rice husk, so waste to energy generation also happened there. And sustainability can drive efficiencies, resilience, and market access. It is also about the mindset. It is also about working together as a cluster. It is not only about blaming the government, right? Although we work with the government and improve the things, right? But it also depends upon how accessible is the finance, simplified policy frameworks, and awareness at the grassroots level. So if India is to achieve its climate goals while sustaining manufacturing growth, MSMEs must just not be told just you save energy and audits and so on and so forth. They must be empowered. Right? So thank you everyone for the fantastic panel, and also the audience for staying attentive throughout this 1-hour discussion. Hope you had good takeaways from here. Thank you very much.
I request the panelists to kindly rise for a group photograph. Once again, thank you all for your insightful deliberations and valuable inputs provided during this panel discussion.